was February 3rd, 2005, and I had my colonoscopy because I was having symptoms. And I woke up from my procedure, and we went into a private room, and it was my husband and the doctor and myself. And he just said, "You have colon cancer. You need to find a surgeon tomorrow. Here's a card. You need surgery next week." You know, I have 3 kids, and they all knew I was having this procedure. And my dad had died of colon cancer. You know, I was like, how do we tell them? And I knew that we had to make appointments the next day. And so I had my husband tell the kids. My kids were in sports, and so I said, "You can tell the girls." And my son was 9, and he was at a friend's. And I thought I could tell him. I didn't think I could face my girls and tell them because they would get what it was. I was in shock. Like, I wish that people would give you something that says, you know, like, I wouldn't have told my kids while I was still in shock. I went to school. It was my daughter's big 8th grade graduation, this big event. I'll never forget the look on her face that day. I mean, it was like her innocence had been just taken, you know? It was just, yeah, it was heartbreaking. I was in shock, but I'm kind of a doer. Okay, so what do we have to do? So I had a lot of friends who were nurses, and so we started researching surgeons. And I wanted to go to whoever, you know, was the best. And I got the surgeon I wanted at the UW. He said, "I'm really sorry, but you're stage 4. You have lesions in your liver." And, you know, I don't know anything about cancer. And so I didn't know if there's stage 5, 6, 7. You know, I'm like, 4? So is there a 5? They're like, no. And the look on my girlfriends who were nurses, their face just fell. I knew right then that it was bad. The cancer diagnosis was hard, but then to find out it was stage 4, it was like, oh, you're kidding me. That's the one thing when you're diagnosed with cancer is when you sleep, it's the only time you don't have to think about it. And the minute you wake up, you remember, and your life is never the same. I think going into surgery, I was so afraid that I wasn't going to come back out. Since it was Valentine's, I remember and I wanted to get my kids a card, and I was so afraid that I was going to die during surgery. And I remember picking the cards out, thinking it might be the last card, you know? And it was like, I don't know, it was just very, very hard. I had read this book about hope before I went in, and I was reading everything I could get my hands on. And one of the things in the book it said is, don't let anyone give you your statistics because they're not yours. They don't know who you are. And I got the best oncologist in the world. He said to me, "I have a plan for you." And he was so positive. And he said, "And if that plan doesn't work, I have another plan for you." He just gave me that glimmer of hope. I knew it was highly unlikely, but he gave me that hope. And, you know, all I needed was that hope.